Minnesota at Nebraska. Now, this one, there's a fun little situation going on over there at Minnesota and Nebraska. This is supposed to be the $5 bits of broken chair trophy game. Now, a little background. This is why this is so interesting. A little background on the broken chair. It's not a very old trophy. The Minnesota Nebraska rivalry goes back to its 63 games.
Sorry, I read ahead.
This started in 2014, and it was created by a Twitter exchange between a Twitter account that was the Gopher mascot. So Goldie the Gopher has his own Twitter account, and he is trolling a fake Bo Pelini account. Bo Pelini being the former coach of Nebraska. The bet was if Minnesota wins, Pelini gives them $5. If Nebraska wins, Goldie the Gopher gets to break a chair over Pelini's back. So either way, Minnesota wins. And that was kind of a stupid joke that became a trophy. And it's a fan-generated trophy. I don't think Goldie the Gopher has any pull with the team or anything. So I guess in 2016, the press was asking them about, who wants the trophy this year, and both coaches were like, what trophy? they don't care. They're disavowing it. They're letting it go. But I think it's kind of taken on a life of its own, because there's a place that has a $5 bits of broken chair fundraiser every year, and now I forgot what it was for. Anyway, it's a fundraiser, and they've been doing it every year, and apparently it's been growing every year. So I think the trophy might end up sticking around just because of that. We'll find out Saturday if they're even still talking about it. At any rate, this is the 63rd meeting between the Gophers and the Cornhuskers. Minnesota leads the series 35-25-2, which of course means Minnesota and Nebraska were playing even before Nebraska joined the Big Ten, significantly, like a significant series. Minnesota holds the record for the longest winning streak, 16 straight games from 1963 to 2012. So not consecutive years, obviously, but still. Minnesota is favored in this game by 16. Now, Minnesota, we thought originally would win the West Division because they were, for a while, the only undefeated team in the West. That ended in a 3-game slide. But if they could conceivably win out, looking at their upcoming schedule, if they did, they'd have a 9-3 season, which is respectable. That potentially could still win them the West Division, which means Illinois and Purdue cannot afford to lose a game either. So we've got what Minnesota, Purdue, and Illinois all have to win in order to win the division. Win out, I guess. They can't afford to lose anything at this point, although neither can Ohio State and Michigan on the east side. I don't see Minnesota having a problem with Nebraska this weekend, but they were also heavily favored against Purdue. Purdue, and they lost that game 20-10. What do you think, Mac?
See, I think that Minnesota's season is just about written in stone at this point. I think that's the saying. I mean, they need Purdue to take 2 more losses and Illinois to take 3 to have a shot at the title game. And I don't think that's going to happen. Okay. So at least that's how I did the math. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but whatever. That being said, though, I think Minnesota's long-term prospects are fine. And that's pretty much all I have to talk about, because they're 1 game away from bowl eligibility. They should get there. But they don't have a shot at the Big Ten championship anymore. So it's kind of bowl positioning at this point. But in terms of like their overall picture, they've kind of replaced Wisconsin as the will they, won't they team. They'll get bowl eligible, and they might even win out at this point because Iowa and Wisconsin aren't so good. And those are their 2 last games. Mm-hmm. Next year, they're bringing in a class full of 3-stars. And, that was really good when PJ Fleck was at Western Michigan, my alma mater. But the problem is now he's got to start figuring out a way to build a team that can eventually beat, Ohio State, Michigan, and at least make it to the Big Ten title game from the West Division. So as long as you miss Ohio State and Michigan from the East, then going undefeated in the West, it really shouldn't be this hard. It's never been anywhere near as competitive as the East, and Fleck's got to get this team in a place where they stop losing silly games like Purdue this year. They really shouldn't have lost to Purdue, and Bowling Green last year. That was just insane. So I don't know. This year their season's pretty much wrapped up. I mean, they'll be fine. They'll get a decent bowl, but that's about it.
Yeah. Nebraska on the other side of the equation. Nebraska actually allows more yards than they gain on average. I think Coach Joseph has to be looking at this season as extended practices, since they're not going to get a bowl game. They're not going to get that extra 3 weeks of practice. I think he's looking at the rest of November as, let's get as many players in there as we can. Let's try whatever we can. Let's just build for next year. I'm pretty sure that's where he's at right now. Get these players some experience. Just get them out there. I mean, I'm sure they want to win. I'm not saying they don't want to win. I'm just saying, looking at their schedule, it's not likely they're going to. And that all, of course, is provided that Joseph even gets hired permanently. He's still the interim coach, I believe. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have the job permanently. What do you think?
I don't know where to start with the problems at Nebraska right now. I mean, they're basically in just that mode where it's like, let's just get through the rest of the season and worry about rebuilding next year. I don't know if Joseph is going to be the guy to do that. It'll depend on how many games they can pull out the rest of the season. But I mean, obviously, I don't think that they're going to win this game. And then next week they have to go to Ann Arbor. So yeah, right. Like, I think bowl eligibility is off the table. So it's just whatever happens, it's not going to be a good thing.
Yeah. Well, Joseph was left with nothing. So I mean, if he can pull a few wins out of it, that means he's pulling some wins out of the garbage dump that Frost left behind. So that's got to work in his favor, I would think.
See, I don't know. I thought that was kind of the enigma of the Scott Frost era, was that I thought that he actually had some decent players. He just couldn't do anything with them.
Well, yeah, I don't mean the players necessarily. The players are fine. What I mean is the way they've been trained, the way they've been conditioned.
Culture.
Clearly the culture, it hasn't been good. And so now with Frost gone, at least Joseph has been able to affect the culture somewhat, so they're winning a little bit. So
that's a good point. Yeah.
So what was the Minnesota is favored by 16. Okay, I've got him. The team rivalry top secret score predictor has a little bit better than that. I've got Minnesota 42, Nebraska 3.
Oh, no faith in the Nebraska offense.
No,
I love it. I myself am taking a team to win this game, 42-3.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty clear who I think is going to win this. So this bit doesn't work nearly as well as I was hoping it would. But I'm going to take a team to win 42-3. What team am I taking, you might ask? Not Nebraska.
Not Nebraska. We got 42-24 there.
Oh, crap. 42-24. What did I say? 3?
I said 3, and then you just repeated what I said.
Oh my gosh, you're right. No, because you said 42, and I was like, oh, I have that too. Idiot.
What's the answer? 42.
42. It's always 42. Well, and I have another game that I was going to call something to 3 or whatever, and so I just got 3. Whatever.
All right.
Nebraska's not going to win. That's what this says right here. Okay.